Yeah, hi everyone. Let us continue another video. So we stopped in the previous video here, like we created group, Active Directory group, and we made some members to that particular group. Next, let's do this task, configure ADDS UPN suffixes. Because all these users who got created will be having adatum.com. And that is okay when we are having them in Active Directory. When we are syncing them to Azure Entra ID or Azure Active Directory, they need to possess a different suffix. And that suffix must match our Azure account. What exactly is that? Let me check. The client machine was created successfully. And if I go to my default directory by clicking on Entra ID, and you can see here the domain name is Danpal AZ140 Outlook.onmicrosoft.com. So all the users who are getting synced to Entra ID must have this suffix in their name. And that is what we will be modifying it. Let's see what we are going to do. Fine. So now where we have to. So it's my lab machine, but I need to go to a DC machine. So this is my DC machine. Inside this DC machine, okay, I already have this administrator session of PowerShell ISE. Let me run these commands. Again, I'll go first put the command here. Let's say Control A and Control C and paste it and hit enter. So the first command is over. So we are getting some PowerShell module update. Let me say yes. Just hold on. Yeah, it is done. Now, next, let's execute this command. So what are we doing is that we are going to install Azure module in this particular machine. Azure module when we install so that we can have Azure account access through CLI as well. Let's execute this command. We are installing a module. Where are you? Yeah. And hit enter. We are installing AZ module so that we can access Azure cloud, not only using portal. So this is one way of accessing Azure resources. Another way is I want to access them through CLI. So I want to install that. I just said yes to all and I have to wait for another 3 to 5 minutes. Let us wait. Sometimes even it might take 5 minutes also to complete. Once this module is installed, then we will log inside our Azure account using this Connect AZ account. Like how we are logging in through web browser, right? In our browser tab, we can log in, right? Similarly, we are going to log in this PowerShell. For that, this module installation gets complete. It's recommending us to wait another 5 minutes once this installation completes. This is an expected behavior, but that's okay. Let us try. Okay. Let us log inside our Azure account, connect AZ account. So we are connecting to Azure account. We need to give the credentials of the account we are using. So this is the account, right? So you might be having your email ID. That ID you have to give. We can say ask later. Yes, the email ID is Thenabol AZ140 @outlook.com. Key in the password. That's it. We can close this, close all the tab. Yes, we logged in. So we have connected to Azure account through CLI as well. Let's execute these commands. Let us get the tenant ID. Let me display the tenant ID just to show you something. If you see, you get this tenant ID, right? 870 ends with FC3. And if you go to your Entra ID, 870FC3. So it is pulling your data. That's perfect. Let us continue. This command is executed. Let's go with this command now. And when you have multiple command, better to go with this PowerShell, sorry, Notepad, and then coming back to PowerShell. Let's say Control A, Control C, and Control D. So this is, we are installing Azure AD. Previously, we installed AZ, now Azure AD. There are two different components. So when you talk about Azure, Microsoft Azure, there are two components we will be dealing with. One is Active Directory, Azure Active Directory or Entra ID. Another one is Azure Cloud. That is expected. There's something like this. So we have a tenant ID. From there, we will get subscription. So any resources, if you are creating, you will create it under this resource group, right? So for that, we need this module called AZ. And in Entra ID, we will be creating users and groups and all, like how you create it in Active Directory. For that, we need Azure AD. So maybe if it is not giving you clarity, that's okay. If you want clarity, you can discuss with me in the class. But there are two modules we need separately. One is for Entra ID and another one is for Azure itself. And for resources creation in Entra ID, we need Azure AD, and resource creation in Azure, we need AZ. That's it. I hope that is done. Now let's connect to Entra ID as well. That is Azure Active Directory. Once again, I'm connecting with the same account. With the same account, I'm connecting to Entra ID as well and Azure as well. It's connected now. Next, these commands I have to execute. Now, what I have done here. So DNS name of Entra ID tenant I have taken. Let me just print that command. That is EAD domain name. Hit enter. Yes, you can see here Dhanabal AZ140 outlook.onmicrosoft.com. And that is what I showed you here. See here, Dhanabal140 outlook.microsoft.com. And I need this domain name for all the users as a suffix. Previously, we have created user and all the users are having suffix at atom.com, and this must be replaced with this suffix. And that is what we are going to do now. Okay, I'll just pause video for some time. There is some disturbance. Okay, next is I need to change the DNS suffix with these commands. Get all the user, Active Directory user. Okay, let me redo it, Control A. I hope I forgot to do these steps. Let me do these steps first. Yeah, once that is done, then I'll go for these commands. That's it. So the task 2 is done. If you see here, previously all the users were having suffix at atom.com. Now we have replaced to this. This is needed because now we are going to sync this user to Azure Entra ID. So when they sync, this is what we need it there. But maybe in your production environment, if in case you have your company's domain name, then you don't need to do that. In your on-prem as well as in Azure cloud, you will be having the same domain name. That time there won't be any issues. But here we need to do this modification. Next is let's create Entra user that will be used for configuring directory synchronization. That I will do it in the other video.